So homologous series is basically it's a series of organic compounds in which two successive members of the series they do differ by the addition of every CH2 unit or maybe by the 14 AMU by the molar mass. So the condition which must be kept in mind, either there should be addition of a methyl group or methyl group if you could say, or either you can add the 14 AMU by the molar mass. The individual members are called as homologue. So this entire family from ranging from group number 1 to 4, obviously they are ranging up ahead also, but in this given examples, since there is addition of methyl group upon every next step, or they also vary by the 14 AMU, so these are the two requirements to be met. As soon as they are going to be added, their properties are going to be vary a lot. Okay, as well as is the homologous series of alcohols, since you can see that everybody is having the OH group at the very end of them, but there is a thing which makes them differ is the addition of one CH4 gradually. So as soon as that CH4 keep on adding gradually, it is going to make addition to their properties. As well as when it comes to an alcoholic group, we can clearly see that there is a plus one at the end. However, when it comes to a normal alkane family, there was the addition of plus 2 group. Since we add just plus 1, it refers to that it has that one hydrogen would be released and that hydrogen would be replaced by the OH group at the very end of it. Next thing came out to be is about the general properties. I mean, you can simply merge it like, or even you can say that why homologous series are important or what is the purpose of studying them. So the first thing should be clear that when it comes to homologous series, all compounds in the series contain the same elements and the functional group. Fine, but how they do differ? They do differ by the addition of every methyl group in this case. So all compounds in the series can be represented by a general formula. For example, the general formula for alkane is this plus 2 at the very end, alkene is this, and we have studied this in the detail already. Now the molecular formula of each homologous series differ by the addition of CH2 unit to the next one. So gradually there is addition of CH2 at the end, and then they keep on adding the molecules to make the series differ. All compounds in the series can be prepared by the similar method. They all have similar properties. There is a gradual change in their physical state as soon as the length of carbon increases in the same homologous series. So butane is a gas, propane is a gas. When you keep on adding carbons to them or methyl group to them, they would range from being gaseous to the liquid state. That is how we can gaseous to solid, then gaseous to liquid, and then to the solid state. But the general way to predict the properties is that when you keep on adding a methyl group, ultimately they will be moving towards from gas to the solid state. The bigger the number is, the higher the condensity would be, and they would be ranging ahead to the from being gaseous to the solid particles. The detection of elements in the organic compounds, what are they? Carbon is an essential constituent for the organic compounds. Hydrogen should also be present along with them, but additionally derivatives of them could be nitrogen, sulfur, halogens, and these type of stuffs. Detection of carbon and hydrogen. When it comes to the carbon, hydrogen, they can be detected by heating small amount of organic compounds which should contain carbon on them with the copper oxide, which is generally C2O, in a glass test tube. So first condition we got to see is that when you take detection of carbon and hydrogen simply suggests that carbon and hydrogen can be detected by heating a small amount of organic compounds. You could take any organic compound, but the basic requirement is that it must contain carbon onto it. With the copper oxide in a glass tube, fine. We took all the stuff in the glass tube. Now we need to put it on to heat. Heating in a sense is not in a sense that we have to place it just like we are making tea. No, take a test tube, just keep on waving it, because if you give it constant heating, that will result into the bursting of that test tube, because they're really sensitive. So on heating the mixture of carbon and hydrogen, they are oxidized into carbon dioxide. The first result came out to be that they are releasing carbon dioxide and water respectively. Generally, if you are expert, you would came to know that somehow they are adding moisture to the environment. That is how it is. Carbon dioxide turns lime water milky. That is the most general way to identify it. Whenever something contains carbon dioxide, it will ultimately convert itself it will turn plain water even into the milky, and it proves that there is a carbon presence, while the water vapors turn anhydrous. Turn anhydrous copper sulfate blue. It shows the presence of hydrogen in the organic compound. When it comes to the something is anhydrous, it refers to that earlier it was white, but as soon as the environment got moisty, that particular salts keep on attracting water. As soon as it attracts water, it got to end up with the like that the thing that was once dehydrated. As soon as it came in reaction with something that contain moist or water, that water will be added, and it will change its color from being white, or maybe by from colorless to like colorless to bluish. That refers to that earlierly it was there was no water molecule present or attached to that particular salt, but as soon as it come in contact with the thing, water added. That is how it just changed its color. In this way we can detect it. So here's the summary. Due to carbon and hydrogen, you heat them off, you add them into an organic compound. As soon as heat came, they accept oxygen. Carbon dioxide turns lime water from being colorless to milky. Carbon dioxide was detected. Something copper sulfate was present, which was anhydrous. We are using it because that color change will help us to detect the presence of water molecule. So as soon as we change it changes color. We came out to know that there was presence of carbon. There was a water molecule present. Earlier it was not available, but then it gradually was added into the reaction. Here is the reaction. You can see the carbon got combined, react with copper oxide, give rise to carbon dioxide. Again, if we place it into lime water, as soon as it changes its color, it will give you white PPT. What is white PPT? It is just like white precipitate. A precipitate is created when two soluble substances came in contact with each other. They would attract each other, and they would give rise to an insoluble form of M. This is called as precipitate. If it is white, you can say that it is representing the presence of carbon dioxide. As well as hydrogen could be detected by the same method, because it will be converting into water molecule. When it came in contact with an anhydrous or white salt, it changes its color to blue, indicating that there is a hydration in it. Okay, people are also confused, like what does that dot mean? That dot represents, like, this is one copper sulfate, or yeah, and it contains 5 water molecules attached to it. So that particular dot represents like how many numbers of water molecules are attached. So they are attached in this particular way, that they are surrounding the copper sulfate. Next thing came out to be is the detection of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens. Simply there is a mesalazine solution, or maybe the sodium extract is the better word for it, commonly known as sodium extraction. First you need to cut a piece of sodium metal with the help of a knife. Why and how we can cut sodium with the help of a knife? Okay, so it's soft metal, it's very reactive, that is why we can cut it with the knife. Cut a piece of sodium metal and place it in a fusion tube. Okay, next step would be heat the fusion tube in a flame to melt the sodium metal. Once it got melted, the sodium metal is melted, and add a small amount of any powder organic compound into the fusion tube. Fine. Then heat the fusion tube again till its bottom became red hot. It means you have to constantly heat it, but it's not an ideal practice. Just heat it once, then reheat again, but with the you can increase the frequency gradually. So break this fusion tube in a china dish, and that should contain 20 centimeters of the distilled water. Okay. Now mix and boil and then filter the solution. The obtained filtrate is called as sodium extract. Divide this filtrate into 3 portions and test them again. The presence of sodium, sulfur and the halogen family members could be tested accordingly. So everyone is going to show the color change, but the basic ideology of testing them is different. First take the one, convert it into liquid, change its color, and then shift them all into bring them in contact with the water, then shift them all into the 3 portions. Right after that, what you have to do is, here's the reaction. Take sodium. The solution might contain carbon and nitrogen. We are not clear of it. it converts into this stuff. Later on is the sodium coming in contact with the sulfur will give you Na2S. Right after that, okay, let it be. Next thing came out to be is, that is the actual reaction. You got nitrogen test. The one portion of lysine filtrate is having a few drops of sodium hydroxide added to it to make it alkaline. Alkaline is somehow it's a kind of base. Okay, then freshly prepared solution should be there. Iron sulfate should be taken, added to it. Okay, let's underline the stuff gradually. First step you need to take is take the filtrate, add this stuff into just add a few drops of sodium hydroxide. Once upon you just added sodium hydroxide, it will change the nature of the solution, making it alkaline. After that, you need to add FeSO4. Why you need to take it freshly? So that you could avoid its contact with the environmental oxygen. Okay, the solution would be boiled then. That is the step number 3 of this reaction. Add a few drops of iron trichloride solution, but at the end you have to add the HCl. What is the basic requirement? First you have to add base to make it alkaline. Then you have to add the acid into it to change its pH back to acidic nature. The appearance of blue or greenish blue color, or any color, or like simply the blue, generally it shows greenish appearance. It represents the presence of nitrogen in the organic compound. That is how we can detect it. Taking solution, first bring it contact with the base, add freshly prepared iron sulfate. Later on you have to boil it at few drops of iron chloride, add acid into it, and then notice color. First test we have just conducted, that if it is blue or greenish blue, it will represent the presence of nitrogen in the organic compound. The next section came out to be, if a blood red color is produced instead of the Persian blue color, then it proves that nitrogen and sulfur both are present in the organic compound, and is the complex they will show you. So when it comes to the blue, simple nitrogen was present. When they show red color, they would be showing that these two have combined and give you a complex structure, a ligand. I would say that this is a ligand. Then we came to know that it is representing both the complexes. Okay, sulfur test is there. The second portion of lysine filter is acidified. At the end we had just reacted it with the HCl, and it was acidified with the acetic acid, and boil it to expel the hydrogen sulfate gas. It will turn red acetate paper black. That indicates the presence of sulfur in the compounds. So black precipitate will be indicating the presence of sulfur. Again, when it comes to the halogen test, we have taken third portion of it, and how we are going to use it. Simply, let's take the stuff, boil it with the nitric acid, and upon boiling that, halogen or that entire mixture with the nitric acid will expel the cyanide ions and sulfide ions. Again, if we like, first we have to expel them. Upon boiling them, we spare the two. After that, cool the solution, and silver nitrate solution would be added to the substances. Right after that, there would be a formation of precipitate. It shows the presence of halogens, which will give you that precipitate, that white precipitate is there. But again, if it is soluble, then there is a chance that there would be presence of halogen gases. Okay, then they would be soluble in this given substance NH4OH. It shows the presence of chlorine. If it gives you the pale yellow color, it means it is chlorine. If it is partially soluble, it shows the presence of bromine. The deep and dark yellow precipitate who is insoluble will be indicating iodine. As soon as you are moving from top to bottom, it refers to the darkness of the color, as well as the insolubility will be increasing gradually. So when we are moving from top to bottom, the major indication is that the color will be go darker. The next possibility is that we should see that either these substances are soluble or not soluble in the ammonium hydroxide. So there are two ways to detect it. So, referring to the key points of the society, technology, and this thing, organic compounds obtained from the plants and animals. What are they? Most sugars, some alkaloids who are naturally occurring nitrogenous organic molecules. Some are terpenoids, which is a large group of natural products and made up of this formulae. Generally, you would be hearing terpenoids for the sake of painting or for the sake of shining purpose of what you call the furniture. Although that smell is not, it will be not acceptable by the throat, but still it is most applicable on the furniture to give it shine, to protect it from the insects and all that. Certain nitrogens such as vitamins, antigens, carbohydrate, this thing, who are generally the, all of these stuff are going to be play important part in the bodily function. So they are going to be important because they are made up of carbohydrate, they are made up of carbon derivatives, and they are going to play important role in the human body. Just like you can extract nucleic acid, we are nothing without nucleic acid. Protein is important because it is going to be conducting certain messages. Sugar binding proteins are there. Why are they important? They are going to maintain the sugar related or glucose related functions. If they are no present, they fail to work, the person is going to be pale because he will be sugar deficient. Okay, quinine is an anti-malarial, that is very important for MCQ purpose. Quinine is an anti-malarial and antipyretic medicine. It is obtained from the Cinchona legeriana quinine tree. It is important because it is used for the mosquito repellent. Really, it is used in medication purpose. Yeah, it is used for medication purpose. Even the mosquito repellent lotions, the sprays, they contain mostly quinine into them. Nicotine is an insecticide obtained from the Nicotiana tabacum or this thing. But again, nicotine is the brain relaxer. Even it is sometimes used as a drug. People who consume it excessively, they might face memory loss. They might go unconscious after regular consumption of it. So obviously, we should avoid it. Methanol is simply the rubefacient, a substance for the tropical application that causes dilation of capillaries and increase in the blood circulation is its major function. So it is obtained from the certain mentha special, generally mint, which is commonly available in the houses. Why is it important? Simply as its function is clearing that we need it for the sake of dilating persons like body capillaries. Why do we need it? Because those people who suffer from the depression in their veins or maybe the arteries, they feel difficulty in breathing. Even there are the chances that they might feel breakdown in the blood supply to their heart. So the medicine, the medicine might contain some even the medicine contain this formula into them, and is going to help them to have a smooth breathe and even the proper supply of their blood. Why? Because they will dilate the capillaries. Camphor. Camphor is again a rubefacient. Why is it important? You can obtain it from the different tree, but function is obviously the same. Rutin, you use it for the treatment of the capillary fragility and is obtained from the citrus species. That is why those people who are heart patient, they are recommended to take something, somehow those things which are citrus in nature. So they help them to get rid of the capillary fragility. Hesperidine is used for the treatment of capillary fragility. Again, it is obtained from the orange. Curcumin is chloritic, is obtained from the Curcuma longa or turmeric, basically, who is a natural, you could say that it's a natural immune developer, even it's a natural antibiotic. So he could ask you who is the natural antibiotic. Even you could give this name, its scientific name, which is Curcuma longa, who is the turmeric, obviously, but it's how people got confused into it. So you should memorize this name. Cocaine is an anesthetic stuff. It is obtained from this certain coca plant or erythroxylum coca. Why you need it? People generally consume it, like you could say that roadside drug abusers, they consume it. They are going to be tun in Urdu, I would say that. So it's obviously, but generally for medication purpose, it could be added into an anesthetic medication, helping doctors to operate people properly. Caffeine is the CNS stimulant. If you feel sleepy, you take coffee. That is going to be, it is not going to let the brain binders, or the, you could say that the relaxing effectors to got channels to accept sodium and potassium pumps, because when we awake, there is a difference between sodium and potassium number. As soon as it got balanced, we are not going to sleep. That is how the sexual cycle is somehow there. So it is going to not let them bind to not let them balance. That is why we stay awake. But some people, just like me, where there is no issue if you take coffee or anything else, you have to sleep. Okay. Next thing is bromelain. It's an anti-inflammatory drug. What does that thing mean? It means that a person who is taking medication, let's say some people who like generally diabetics, they feel high level of inflammation in their body for nothing. There is no reason behind it, just because of the high medication. That is why we can add this thing to their medicine, and it might give them some sort of relief, so that they could feel a bit better. The key points of chapter suggest that coal, petroleum, natural gases are important sources of organic compound. We can obtain organic compounds from them. The study of organic chemistry has been organized around the certain functional groups. Each functional group defines an organic family. Organic chemistry is concerned with the chemistry of living material or substances who were once alive Therefore, it is concerned with that particular branch refers to this concern with the living organism, animals, or those stuff who were once alive, but we buried them under the ground. As soon as time passed by, they attained the shape of fossil fuels, and then they starting producing oils and stuff later on. Coal is produced by the decaying of tree buried under the earth's crust, and that then it ultimately got converted into the coal. The word petroleum is derived from the Latin word petra, meaning rock, and oleum means oil. So it is the mineral oil. But why there are two derivatives. Term petroleum refers to the petrol. And then we have to pass it through certain reactions, generally the process of fractional distillation, to make it pure and get rid of unwanted stuff who are present into it. The bacterial decay at higher temperature with little oxygen change the organic matter into the crude oil and gases as well. The refining of petroleum is carried out by the process of fractional distillation. In this process, various fractions are separated according to their boiling points. The thing that boiled earlier would go converted into vapors, and then it is ultimately cooled down to condense back into the liquid state. The clothes we wear, the dye we color them, the soap we use, everything is provided by the organic chemistry and organic compound. But the basic thing we need for them is the organic compounds that contain carbon, and they use those process of polymerization to give rise to the industry, which give us certain products such as such as starches, oils, dyes, and blah blah blah.